Okay, let's dive into this because today's explainer takes us into a chilling narrative that brilliantly blends the supernatural with very real, everyday horrors. So we're examining the haunting of Ramgun Station. Just picture it for a second. A desolate, completely isolated railway platform, cloaked in pitch darkness, miles and miles away from the comfort of the city. This isn't just your run-of-the-mill ghost story, It's a meticulously structured tale of consequence and of vengeance. And we're going to break down exactly how this whole nightmare unfolds. We actually kick off our analysis with this moment of pure atmospheric dread. A young woman named Ashika arrives at this empty station late at night. She's exhausted, right? So she drifts off on a platform bench only to wake up to a terrifying vision. Peering through the shadows, she sees a strange woman standing on the opposite platform. Her face is completely obscured by this long, dark hair. Now, as Ashika cautiously steps closer, the entity doesn't attack. Instead, she just delivers this hushed, chilling warning. Go away from here. It is such a classic suspense builder, dropping us right into the eerie isolation of Ramganj. But wait. To understand why Ashika is all alone on this cursed platform in the first place, we actually need to rewind the timeline a bit. Let's look back to earlier that exact same day. Let's look at the numbers here. At exactly 4:36 p.m., Ashika strolls into an interview hall for a really highly coveted railway position. And she isn't just a little late, she's staggeringly, unapologetically late by 36 minutes. There are dozens of other candidates waiting outside, totally stressed and anxious. But Ashika? She just waltzes right in without a single care in the world. And this brilliantly illustrates the real-world horror that's actually anchoring this entire narrative. I mean, get this. The interviewer actually kicks out a waiting candidate just to make room for Ashika. Why? Because Ashika isn't getting this job on merit. Oh no, she is getting it entirely through her father's influence. She literally walks out of the interview and mocks the other hopeful candidates, telling them the seat is already taken. It's this infuriating portrayal of nepotism, right? Stealing a life-changing opportunity from someone who actually earned it. And trust me, that theme is going to become deadly important in just a minute. So this unearned privilege leads her straight to Ramganj Station that evening. Now, back to that terrifying vision on the platform. It's abruptly interrupted when she's woken up by this creepy older watchman. He finally unlocks the station master's office for her so she can settle in. But take a close look at what she finds inside. The place is a repulsive disaster. We're talking discarded cigarettes on the desk, a completely smashed television, and literal rotting food just left behind. It is as if time violently stopped in this room. Naturally, Ashika demands to know why the office is in such a deplorable state. That's when the watchman explains the dark history of the station. He defines the area as cursed grounds. Apparently, the police had completely sealed this office after the previous officer met a gruesome, agonizing death right out there on the train tracks. He also casually mentions some local lore, saying that years ago a madwoman took her own life on those very tracks. And ever since then, the station has been plagued by this dark energy. But Ashika, dripping with absolute arrogance, foolishly dismisses the entire story as total nonsense. She just demands he go fetch her some dinner. Well, watch how quickly the night unravels from here. After begrudgingly cleaning that filthy office, the watchman makes it very, very clear he is not sticking around. He absolutely refuses to stay the night in a place infamous for its ghost stories, telling Ashika, look, I'll return tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., and then he hurriedly exits. He leaves her completely alone in this isolated, historically violent office. The tension right here is palpable as the darkness really starts to set in. But just as the watchman walks away into the safety of the night, the narrative delivers a massive, whiplash-inducing twist. First, his phone rings in the dark. He checks the caller ID, and it says Ashika. Okay, weird. But when he answers, the voice on the other end of the line, the real Ashika, casually tells him her plans for the evening were canceled. She says she won't actually be arriving at the station until tomorrow at noon. Just let that sink in for a moment. If the real Ashika is safe in the city, on her phone, who or what is sitting in the station master's chair right now? This realization hits the watchman and, honestly, hits us with absolute paralyzing dread. The entity he just unlocked the door for, the thing he just spoke with, is something else entirely. Okay, so to understand what exactly is hunting this watchman in the dark, our explainer needs to shift gears. We're going to look back exactly 2 months ago. We need to step away from the supernatural for just a moment to investigate the tragic, deeply human backstory that actually birthed the curse of Ramganj Station in the first place. So, the crucial point here is this glaring disparity in these exam results. This perfectly represents the systemic injustice sitting right at the heart of the story. There was a man named Ramesh. He studied relentlessly and achieved the absolute highest marks. He even excitedly told his wife, Gita, that they could finally afford to send their daughter to a good school. But look at the hired candidate score next to his. Someone with significantly lower marks, but who had political or family connections, got the position. Ramesh's hard-earned, life-changing job was simply given away. The crushing weight of this corruption entirely destroyed Ramesh's hopes. He was unable to bear the pain of failing his family, despite doing everything exactly right. So, he made a devastating choice. He left behind a heartbreaking suicide note that reads, "This world is very bad. Only those with reach advance. Forgive me, Gita. I couldn't give you a good life. Take care of money." It is a devastating testament to the quiet victims of a rigged system. But the tragedy didn't end there. Gita's grief mutated into this desperate plea for justice. She actually marched down to the station office, demanding that the corrupt official be removed and her husband's rightful job be restored. But you know what she got? Physical cruelty. The very same watchman we met earlier violently pushed her away, refusing to even listen to a grieving widow. Completely broken and entirely devoid of hope, Gita stepped onto the tracks and took her own life. And boom, that brings all the narrative threads together perfectly, doesn't it? That so-called mad woman the watchman casually gossiped about earlier, yeah, that was Gita. The entity masquerading as Ashika in the dark office right now, that is Gita. This wasn't some random haunting. This was the birth of a vengeful spirit, waiting in the dark, meticulously biding her time to punish every single person who played a part in destroying her family. Snapping back to the present, the watchman realizes his deadly mistake way too late. As he begs for mercy in the shadows, Gita's ghost confronts him. She tightens her terrifying grip around his throat and delivers this chilling verdict. He got punished for his mistakes. Now it's your turn. And right as the roar of an approaching midnight train completely drowns out his screams, Gita violently enacts her gruesome vengeance on the very man who pushed her to her death. Let's move to the next day and see how this builds to our eerie epilogue. The sun is shining, the timeline resets. At 12 p.m., a train finally pulls into Ramganj Station. By 12:05 p.m., the real, arrogant Ashika steps onto the platform, completely oblivious to the massacre that occurred the night before. And at 12:10 p.m., she is warmly greeted and offered the keys to the office by the quote-unquote new station master, who is, of course, Gita in disguise, seamlessly laying the final trap for the person who stole her husband's job. Which leaves us with one final, deeply unsettling question. What will happen to the real Ashika now? I mean, she is the literal embodiment of the nepotism that killed Ramesh. And now she's locked in an isolated station with the very spirit seeking absolute revenge for it. It's a masterful blend of social commentary and pure horror. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly recommend keeping this cautionary tale in mind the next time you find yourself entirely alone on an empty railway platform.